EU rules that Uber is a transport service, not a digital company. Uber is a taxi company, according to a landmark ruling from Europe's highest court, reports CNBC. The European Court of Justice (ECJ) ruled on Wednesday that the U.S. ride-hailing app is a transportation firm and not a digital company. The verdict is a long-awaited judgment expected to have major implications for how Uber is regulated throughout Europe. Uber has long considered itself an information society service which connects drivers and passengers through intermediation via their app. This subtle classification has helped to protect the multi-billion-dollar startup from national regulations and means it has been treated as a digital service operating across borders in the EU's single market. North Korea begins tests to load anthrax onto ICBMs, says report. North Korea has begun tests to load anthrax onto intercontinental ballistic missiles (ICBMs), Japan's Asahi newspaper reported, citing an unidentified person connected to South Korea's intelligence services. The report said the testing involves ensuring the anthrax survives the immense temperatures generated during re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. North Korea has a stockpile of between 2,500 tons to 5,000 tons of chemical weapons, and is capable of producing biological agents such as anthrax and smallpox, South Korea has previously said. The Asahi report comes a day after the White House published its national security strategy, a document that said Pyongyang is pursuing chemical and biological weapons which could also be delivered by missile. North Korea, a country that starves its own people, has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons that could threaten our homeland, the report said. Picture courtesy Bloomberg. Top headlines. 1. Nifty, Sensex hit fresh record highs. 2. HDFC Bank Board approves raising up to 24,000 crore rupees. 3. Amitabh Bachchan rode the Bitcoin wave and is now a cryptocurrency crop-addy, reports The Economic Times. 4. NCLT adjourns Corporate Affairs Ministry's plea against Unitech. 5. EU rules that Uber is a transport service, not a digital company, reports CNBC. 6. Edelweiss Financial Services arm acquires Religare Securities. 7. Day before RK Nagar Bipole, TTV Dinakaran faction releases video of Jayalalitha in hospital, reports The Indian Express. 8. House of Representatives OX U.S. tax overhaul, but snag forces new vote, reports Reuters. 9. North Korea begins tests to load anthrax onto ICBMs, reports Asahi. Accused in Ryan case to be tried as adult. Juvenile board. A school student accused of killing a 7-year-old boy will be tried as an adult, the Juvenile Justice Board said today. The board passed the order on Wednesday morning, responding to a plea that the teenager accused of the crime should not be treated as a juvenile. The board had earlier rejected the bail plea of the Class 11 student, accused of killing Pradyuman Thakur on the premises of the Ryan International School here on September 8. Siam proposes all new vehicle sales in India to be EVs by 2047. Automobile industry body Siam has proposed all new vehicle sales in India to be pure electric by 2047, while the same for intracity public transport fleet can be achieved by 2030, reports PTI. In a white paper submitted to the government, the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers (SIAM) said it is aiming at 40% of new vehicle sales in the country to be pure electric by 2030. The paper has been brought out in line with the government's vision of 100% electric for public mobility and 40% electric for personal mobility by 2030, it said in a statement. Proposing 100% pure electric vehicles, battery electric and fuel cell by the 100th anniversary of India's independence in 2047, SIAM outlined a roadmap that includes 60% of new vehicle sales in the country to employ greener technologies like hybrids and other alternative fuels by 2030. Santa Maria. In this June 13, 2005 photo, Michael Jackson gestures as he leaves court during his trial on child molestation charges in Santa Maria, California. Wade Robson, who is now 35, testified at Jackson's criminal trial in 2005 that he had spent many nights in Jackson's room, but Jackson had never molested him. A judge has dismissed the lawsuit brought by Robson, who alleged Jackson molested him as a child. The summary judgment ruling on Tuesday against Robson resolves one of the last remaining major claims against the late singer's holdings. AP. Over 9,000 died in battle with Islamic State group for Mosul. An Associated Press investigation has found that between 9,000 and 11,000 civilians died in the final battle to drive Islamic State extremists out of the Iraqi city of Mosul. That's a civilian casualty rate nearly 10 times higher than what has been previously reported. The deaths are acknowledged neither by the coalition, the Iraqi government nor the Islamic State group's self-styled caliphate. Iraqi or coalition forces are responsible for at least 3,200 civilian deaths between October 2016 and the fall of IS in July 2017. Strijdschassen acquires controlling stake in South Africa's Trinity drug firm. Strijdschassen said its subsidiary has entered into an agreement to acquire controlling stake in South Africa's Trinity. Strides Pharma Asia, Singapore, a wholly owned subsidiary of Strijdschassen, has entered into definitive agreements with Trinity Pharma Proprietary, South Africa for acquisition of controlling stake in Trinity, Strijdschassen said in a BSE filing. Strides Pharma Asia will acquire 55% stake in Trinity for a cash consideration of South African rand 55 million, about 27.5 crore rupees. The company said the transaction allows Strides to establish presence in the high-entry barrier market of South Africa, where product dossiers approval takes more than 5 years. This transaction will provide access to pipeline of more than 110 product dossiers already submitted. Here are the top headlines at 2 p.m. from Money Control News. Ankle-Podok Marepen Labs gets US FDA nod for asthma drug. Marepen Laboratories said the U.S. health regulator has given approval to montelukast sodium, used in managing asthma symptoms and seasonal allergies, for sale in the U.S. market. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration (US FDA) has cleared montelukast sodium, a bulk drug manufactured by Marepen Laboratories, for sale in the U.S. market, the company said in a regulatory filing. This gives Marepen an entry into the 2,000 crore rupees U.S. market for montelukast. The first commercial orders for the bulk drug are expected in the second quarter of the next financial year, it added. Marepen said patent for montelukast has expired in all markets worldwide. Marepen is the market leader for montelukast in India with over 50% market share, supplying to almost all major finished dosage manufacturers in India, it added. Bitcoin prices plunged about 15% in Asian trade today before recouping some of the losses as investors apparently took fright at news that a South Korean exchange had been hacked. The unit, which hit a record $19,500 at the start of the week, took a hit as it emerged that South Korean exchange UBIT had been hacked, leading the firm to say it will close and start bankruptcy proceedings, according to Bloomberg News. Here are the top headlines at 10 a.m. from Money Control News. Ankle-Podok The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal NCLT has adjourned Corporate Affairs Ministry's plea against Unitech. HDFC Bank Board approves raising up to 24,000 crore rupees. HDFC Bank, India's second biggest lender by assets, said it would raise up to 240 billion rupees $3.75 billion to fund growth by selling shares to investors, including a preferential issue to its parent HDFC. HDFC Bank, the most valuable in the sector with a market capitalization of more than $76 billion, said in a statement its board had approved the fundraising plan on Wednesday. Shareholders will be asked to vote on the plan on January 19, the lender added. As part of the planned fundraising, HDFC Bank will issue up to 85 billion rupees worth of shares to mortgage lender HDFC on a preferential basis, while the remainder will be raised via modes including American depository receipts and a share sale in India to institutional investors. Retired Air Marshal J.S. Gujral granted bail in Augusta VVIP chopper case. Retired Air Marshal J.S. Gujral was today granted bail by a Delhi court in the VVIP chopper scam case filed against him, former IAF chief SP Tyagi and others, reports PTI. Special CBI Judge Arvind Kumar granted the relief to Gujral on a personal bond of 2 lakh rupees and a surety of the same amount when he appeared before the court after a summons was issued to him. Tyagi, who was earlier granted bail in the case along with others, also appeared before the court following summons issued in September. The CBI had on September 1 charge-sheeted former IAF chief SP Tyagi in a Delhi court along with Gujral and 8 others in connection with a bribery case in the 3,500 rupees crore Augusta Westland VVIP chopper deal. Day before RK Nagar Bipole, TTV Dinakaran faction releases video of Jayalalitha in hospital. Vet rival, close aide of TTV Dinakaran and one of the disqualified MLAs supporting VK Sasikla faction, released a video of late Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and AIADMK Supremo Jayalalitha, which was reportedly shot at the Apollo hospitals in Chennai where she was hospitalized in September 2016 until her death in December last year, reports the Indian Express. Vet rival said the video was shot by Sasikala after Jayalalitha was shifted from critical care unit to her room in Apollo Hospital. He refused to answer the motive behind releasing the video now. The release of the video, a day before the bypoll at Late Jalalithasar Nagar constituency, is being seen as an attempt to counter allegations and rumors that held VK Sasikal and her family responsible for the AIADMK Supremo's death. Sasikala's nephew Dinakaran is one of the powerful candidates in the bypoll. Regulatory changes critical to create 1 crore formal jobs. Team Lee's regulatory changes are critical to raising labor force participation in the formal sector, and a few key reforms can raise the share of formal employment to nearly 40% while creating 1 crore jobs, says a report by Team Lee's services. The top 10 regulatory changes that can bring about a shift in labor participation include consolidation of 44 central labor laws into 4 labor codes, and a unique enterprise number (UEN). Creating a unique identifier at the company legal entity level is a crucial infrastructure for digital economy and ease of doing business, it said. Other reforms include salary choice for employees. Under this, employees should have a choice of whether or not to contribute the 12% employee contribution to Provident Fund, and should have an option between ESIC or private insurance. It further noted that the Shram Sevita portal must adopt the PPC paperless, presenceless, cashless framework in the interactions between employers and government, and employees and government. Other reforms include the Factories Amendment Bill 2016, Small Factories Act amendments, in Contract Labor and Regulation Act 1970 amendments, in Industrial Disputes Act 1947 amendments, in Trade Union Act 1926, and adoption of the Model Shops and Establishment Act. Bombay High Court in Goa dismisses former Tehalka editor Tarun Tepal's plea to quash rape and other charges against him. The condition of Union Minister Krishna Raj, who was admitted to a hospital after she fell ill during the BJP Parliamentary Party meeting here, is stable. Raj, 51, has been admitted to the Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, where she was attended to by a team of doctors. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for strengthening the Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) at booth levels across India for victory in the 2019 Lok Sabha polls, Union Minister Anand Kumar said. Modi was speaking at the BJP Parliamentary Party meet. Modi at the meet called for promotion of youth in and outside party, he added. Both houses of parliament has been adjourned till noon following Congress uproar over Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks against former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh during Gujarat Assembly poll campaign. What's the cost of a banking complaint? Nearly 4,000 rupees, says RBI Bank. Consumer complaints at the Banking Ombudsman increased 27.4% to 1.3 lakh in FY17, with the highest coming from New Delhi and Mumbai, said the Reserve Bank of India's annual report of the Banking Ombudsman scheme boss. In the total 20 offices of Banking Ombudsman (OBO) of RBI in the country, in FY17, the OBOs handled 136,511 complaints, 5,524 from the previous year, of which 92% were disposed within the year. The complaints received by OBOs increased by 27% in FY17 as compared to a rise of 21% in the previous year. The average cost of handling a complaint was 3,780 rupees during FY17, which was lower than the average cost of 4,396 rupees during FY16 on account of increase in complaints. Amitabh Bachchan rode the Bitcoin wave and is now a cryptocurrency crowdpati. Amitabh Bachchan has been a showbiz trendsetter for decades, and now he seems to be extending that tag to investing as well. Last week, Zedu.com, an asset owned by Singapore-based Meridian Tech, in which Amitabh and his son Abhishek had invested $250,000 back in 2015, was acquired by Longfin Corp, according to a report by The Economic Times. The deal went through just 2 days after the Longfin stock got listed on Nasdaq. Between Wednesday and Monday, the stock rose 1,000% after surging over 2,500% on Friday, when the company announced its decision to acquire Zedu. When the Bachchans invested in Meridian, Zedu was described as a cloud storage and data distribution startup. However, this month, the description changed to a blockchain technology-empowered solutions provider that offers microfinance, using cryptocurrencies across continents. So when Longfin announced the Zedu acquisition, the Bachchans, who had received 250,000 shares of Longfin in lieu of their holding in Meridian Tech, saw their $250,000 investment skyrocket to $17.5 million in value. Taxi or app? Uber faces big EU court decision. The EU's top court will decide today if ride-hailing app Uber is an ordinary taxi company and should be regulated as such, in a decision that will be closely watched around the world, reports AFP. The case is yet another thorn in the side for Scandal Rock Uber, which has drawn the fury of local taxi drivers and officials for flouting local regulations. It also comes the same week as one of its drivers admitted to the attempted rape and murder of a British embassy worker coming home from a night out in Beirut, Lebanon. Uber, the biggest name in the exploding gig economy, claims it is a mere service provider, connecting consumers with drivers in more than 600 cities. But it has run into huge opposition from taxi companies and other competitors who say this allows it to dodge costly regulations such as training and licensing requirements for drivers and vehicles. The case was brought by a taxi drivers association in the Spanish city of Barcelona, where belief runs high that Uber is a taxi company that should be subject to rules governing such vehicles. Asia firm sentiment rises to highest in almost 7 years, reveals poll. Business confidence among Asian companies rose in October-December to the highest in almost 7 years due to robust consumption and global trade, a Thomson Reuters Insight survey showed. The Thomson Reuters Insight Asian Business Sentiment Index, representing the 6-month outlook of 94 firms, rose to 78 for the December quarter from 69 3 months before. The index reached its highest since January-March 2011. Improvement in sentiment in Australia, China and South Korea drove gains in the overall index. Sentiment in Indonesia and Thailand was also strong, showing that many countries in Asia continue to benefit from accelerating global growth. U.S. says Facebook, Microsoft disabled North Korean cyber threats. Facebook and Microsoft Corporation disabled a number of North Korean cyber threats last week, a White House official told Reuters, as the United States publicly blamed Pyongyang for a May cyber attack that crippled hospitals, banks and other companies. Facebook took down accounts that stopped the operational execution of ongoing cyber attacks, and Microsoft acted to patch existing attacks, not just the WannaCry attack initially. White House Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert said. Bossert did not provide details on the actions by the two American tech heavyweights, but said the U.S. government was calling on other companies to cooperate in cybersecurity defense.